Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Bidman. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up because today we are doing a very comprehensive how to do an everyday eyeshadow look using one specific palette or a quad palette. It doesn't have to be this exact one, but basically how to navigate your way around eyeshadow palettes and how to put them on your face without using all the colors. So stay tuned. I've already washed my face, done my skincare, and done a basic base. So foundation, brows, a little bit of bronzer, and some blush. Now we're going to really focus in on the eyes using one of the Charlotte Tilbury's eyeshadow palettes, the Golden Goddess. This one is great for the month of May. It's great all summer, and even in those fall, winter months when you feel like you just need a little bit of a pick-me-up. So first things first, I'm going to take my Painterly paint pot. I'm going to just dip in with my finger, and then I'm just gently placing that all the way from the lash line up to the brow. So today's tutorial is all about the eyes and kind of how to navigate your way around not only doing eye makeup, but also how to navigate your way around an eyeshadow palette. Sometimes when we have lots of options in an eyeshadow palette, that can be overwhelming, but it can be equally as overwhelming when we only have a few options. So even 4 eyeshadows can feel like a lot. Now, let's say that you've put on your eyeshadow primer and it feels maybe a little chunky, or you're just not sure if you spread it out. Take some kind of a smaller concealer brush and you can just very gently blend that out. Make sure it's a little bit bigger, or at least as big as your eye shape is. So if you have a bigger eye, use a bigger brush. If you have a smaller eye, use a smaller brush. And just very gently make sure that everything is nice and blended out. The next thing you want to do is tightline your eyes. This is a really old, fantastic makeup artist trick. So you take some kind of black pencil, or you can even do like the opposite of your eye color to make the eye color pop. Blue will also, like a navy blue, will also make the whites of your eye really pop, although personally, when I'm doing that kind of technique, I like to put that on the lower waterline instead of the upper one, because I want my upper one to be as dark as possible so that it looks like I have a fuller lash line. So I'm taking my black Treacle from Eldridge. I'm just very gently lifting up the lid and filling in any gaps, filling in that pink part that's right underneath the lash line. And you can see that this eye pops just a little bit more. It's such a great technique even if you don't do any more eyeliner on top of this. So we've prepped our eye, we've done our tight line. I've already done my brows, so now we can really get into eyeshadow. Now if we look at this eyeshadow quad from Charlotte Tilbury, we notice that one, there's no mattes, which is totally fine. It's lots of shimmers and sparkles and all the things. Shimmers are very forgiving, so it's really nice as long as you're not being photographed with flash. Sometimes a shimmer without any matte to balance it out it can photograph a little bit funny. So I always like to take, if I have a quad like this, and I use this one quite a bit, I like to take something like a matte bronzer and use that as my base shadow. So I'm going to take my 201 from BK Beauty. So I've saturated the tip of my brush with my bronzer, and the nice thing about doing this kind of a trick is that now your face will be in complete cohesion because you have bronzer on the face already, and you're going to have bronzer in your eye socket, basically. So I'm really working that into the crease, and then because the brush is so big, it's bringing it up quite a bit further, but it's really fluffy, so it's not giving me too dense of a look. So same thing on the other side. I always brush a little bit onto the lid and then get myself into the socket. I just keep pushing my brush until it kind of finds that in-between place. And then windshield wiper motions if you want more of a graphic situation, or you can do buffing motions if you want it to be softer, if you just want to blend out the edges. Now I've said this many times on this channel, but it is really important to just take a moment, take a breath, and make sure that your face is getting relaxed, because not only do you want to do your eye makeup with your eyes open, even if you have an extra mirror going on, you want to make sure that you are relaxing your face and not just in constant surprise mode. Otherwise, when your face does relax by the end of the tutorial or by the end of putting your makeup on, it's going to look completely different. And it is always okay to go back in and change some things or fix some things at the end of makeup, but it's also a good idea every once in a while to just take a breath and make sure that your face is as relaxed as it can be at that particular moment. So now we can go back into the quad. We can decide lots and lots of different things. So we have kind of a base shadow or a lighter shadow that we can use to perk up the eye. We can use to call attention to a specific spot. There's lots of ways to use quads. We're just going to do a basic eye today. This one is a great just all over color in the crease and the socket. This one will definitely give you a little bit more drama, a little bit more dimension to the eye, and then this is like a top coat. So this one you put on top of everything else if you want a very glamorous, shimmery, sparkly look. We will not be using that one today. We will definitely be focusing on these two specifically, and then maybe adding in just a little bit of that one if I feel like I need to lift the look. I'm going to take my 217, I'm going to go into that mushroom gray color. I'm going to use the side of my brush. I don't want to use a brush that's too dense because I don't want too much on the brush. But instead of using the tip, I'm going to use the side. And I'm just going to very gently pat that on the outer third and just start to build some dimension. So patting that, and then I can always wipe off my brush and use more of the tip to bring up anything extra right into that socket, right into that crease. So we've just amped up a little bit more on the outer part of the eye. Now this by itself, just the bronzer and that color, can be a really great everyday look. But for me, I always feel like I want just a little bit more darkness on the outside here because I'm usually doing a wing, and I also think it complements my eye shape really nicely. So I'm going to go in with a denser brush, the 207, into that darker chocolatey brown. I also think it's really fun that this palette plays with cool and warm tones. Even though it's called Golden Goddess, it plays well. It's a palette that plays well with so many different tones in one's wardrobe, from blues, yellows, greens, creams with a hint of green. But it's a really fun way to play. So this is basically a bigger pencil brush. So I'm just putting that right on the tip of my eye, on that outer part. And then I can just bring that up right into the socket, into the crease. And I can take my 217 if I feel like it gets a little bit too graphic, because I do want everything nice and soft. Same thing on the other eye, just bringing that right into that little socket area. And your eyes will behave differently for sure. The skin around your eyes will behave differently on each eye depending on how you sleep, depending on if you wear glasses, depending on many things. So it's never a bad idea to go in with a clean brush and just do those little circular motions and make sure everyone is playing nicely with each other. Now I'm going to go in with STILA Stay All Day liquid liner, and I'm going to do a little bit of a flick and then go in with a nice chocolatey brown to finish off that line. So when you're doing a flick, all you want to think about is following that lower lash line, and you can kind of decide, you get to play with that angle a little bit. So I like to just mark first and then draw that line back into the lashes. So this is a really good length. I could pull it out, and we'll definitely do some kind of a video on kitten flicks because there is a little bit of mathematical geometry that happens with where your line should stop depending on how dramatic you want to go. But for right now, I can tell that this is pretty good. I can absolutely bring it out a little bit more, but I don't feel like I want to. And I also have a really good start to my wing. So now I'm going to use more of the side of my wand to just really lightly get in between those lashes and go about halfway. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to go in with burnt umber and just finish drawing in that line. It'll also soften that black. So I really like kind of a warmer brown with this eyeshadow palette because we are kind of going that bronzy look. And I think it just complements all of those colors, even though they are a little bit on the cooler side. I think that burnt umber and the cooler mushroomy brown colors really complement each other and make all the shades talk to each other really, really nicely. So I'm basically just going right on top of that black line that I did with the liquid liner, but I have the longevity of the liquid liner underneath. Now I am ready for mascara. So I'm doing the WESTMAN Atelier, not only because I like the ingredients, but also it just seems to work really well with my lashes. It doesn't make them feel gross after lots of coats or throughout the day. So I've just popped on a little bit of Go Lightly gloss from Lisa Eldridge, and now is the time, after your full look is complete, before you powder, to decide if you need anything extra. Do you need a little bit of concealer? Do you need to amp up the eyes? I think this works really, really well, but if you wanted to, you can brush off your 217, and at this point, I like to combine both of those mid-tone colors, go back into that crease socket, and just right above it, wherever my wing is stopping, I like to draw that line a little bit more. And I feel like this just lifts the eye, especially if you're doing a wing. It makes everything very symmetrical. It makes everything speak to each other. It also helps if you've accidentally brushed anything away with your blending. And then I do find that with some shimmer shadows, it's not a bad idea to grab a little bit of extra concealer and just kind of tap right along where maybe there was some fallout, or maybe you had to just readjust some things as well. And that will also help to pop all that hard work that you just did with your eye makeup. And then of course you want to finish with just a little bit of powder, especially as we start getting into these warmer months. So this is the WESTMAN Atelier. This is just the translucent powder, and I'm using the 110 from BK Beauty as well, right through the center of the face so that I don't look sweaty. And that's the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching this eyeshadow tutorial. Again, I think sometimes it's nice to have those breakdowns instead of a full makeup tutorial. It's nice to have those breakdowns of this is how I do eyeshadow, this is how I do liner, this is how I do concealer, all those things. So those will be coming in the next few months. I do fashion and makeup videos every Wednesday, and sometimes I do book talks. So make sure that you are following me on Instagram, watching the shorts in between for before and afters, outfit inspo, and book talk info. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye!